This week on Today's Homeowner, we're making changes in 3 different rooms of the house. The trick is we're trying to update each room for $1,000 or less. If you're renovating on a budget, you don't want to miss this. This week we're exploring renovation on a budget. Most homeowners have at least a project or two they would like to do around their house, but very few of us have an unlimited budget to do it on. So we're going to take a nice round number like $1,000 and see how far it will go. Now, whether you have more or less than that to work with, you're sure to get some ideas that'll make whatever you spend go a little further. Now, we're starting here in a bathroom because this is a very popular room for do-it-yourself renovations. This one is an older home and it was recently renovated, and I'll have to say they did a pretty darn good job on it. One of the first things people typically want to change is the look of the walls, and that's good because it checks in very low on the money meter. Of course, every room is a little different in terms of size and the preparation needed to paint it, but we'll say around $75 for this project that will cover the paint for the walls and trim, plus some prep supplies like caulk, spackle, and maybe some primer. Now, if you're removing old wallpaper first, you'll want to tack on a few more dollars for wallpaper remover and some joint compound to repair any possible damage that occurs to the walls. Now, that's not a lot more in terms of money, but you'll invest plenty in time and sweat. But the more careful you are, the less you'll spend on repairing any damage to your drywall. Now, these homeowners put in a new vanity as part of their renovation, and if a new vanity is in your plans, Jody's checking in to some of your options.
When you're at the home center and you start shopping for your vanity, you're going to see all the choices made available to you. Let's go ahead and start talking about these two. I like this top. This is a solid surface top, and it has an undermount sink that already is attached, so you don't have to worry about any of that. And look at this base cabinet. I like the wood finish. Now take a look at this one over here. This is a cultured marble finish, and again, it's just one piece. You just set it on top of your cabinet. And I like this cabinet because you get that beadboard look, and it's also a painted surface if that's the style you're going for. Now, Danny gave me a budget of about $400, so those definitely fall within the range of my budget. Now take a look at this one. I love this. This is a granite top. It's a little more expensive, but the nice thing is it's already prefabbed for you, so all you gotta do is put it in place. You don't have to have anyone come out and cut it. And again, I like this base. This is pushing it to about almost to the end of my budget, but I really like this one because of this base. So again, you can see all the different options that you have. Danny had a furniture vanity. It's made from furniture or made to look like furniture. It was closer to the $400, but again, just depending upon what your budget is. Now remember, none of these include the faucet, but Alan's gonna talk about that.
The faucet is the workhorse of the bathroom. I mean, think about it. It's used constantly day and night. So when it's time to purchase another one, do yourself a favor, and this is just my opinion, but if you find a $29 special, put it back. Seriously, spend a little extra money for quality, particularly on your faucet. You want a faucet that is true metal, not plastic. The inside workings, you want to have brass in there. Plan on spending about $100 for a good quality faucet. Now, once you've picked that out, it's time to accessorize. And of course, I'm talking about towel bars, toilet paper holders, towel rings, and the like. You can find many manufacturers today that are creating designs that really mimic today's faucets. And of course, it is a little bit expensive because you typically have to buy these separately. However, you can see you do have a huge variety to choose from. And if you're careful and a good shopper, you'll find some combination kits like this that will help absorb that cost.
Once you've made all those decisions, if you still have a little money left in that $1,000 budget, the floor is a great place to do a little upgrading. For a bathroom, 9 times out of 10, that means tile, which is a pretty do-it-yourself friendly process. The other good news is that if you do some careful shopping, you can find some great bargains on tile at your local home center. It's not uncommon to find good-looking tiles in the $1 to $2 a square foot price range, but often they're in limited quantities, so make sure you measure your bathroom carefully first, then add about 10 to 15% for cutting waste and any mistakes that you might make. That means for an 8x8 bathroom, you can get all the tile you need for under $100. Then add in the thin set adhesive, grout, and hand tools for another $50. And I would suggest renting a wet saw, which goes for about $75 a day. So let's add it all up. $75 for the paint, a new vanity and sink at around $400, And $100 for a new faucet, another $100 for accessories, plus about $225 for all the tile that you need. And the grand total comes out to around $900. That's $100 under budget, which is a good place to be with theoretical numbers, because inevitably there will be surprises with any bathroom renovation, so keep that in mind. Now, before you get started, Joe has one more tip to simplify your bathroom remodeling.
The first step of painting a bathroom is trimming off the surfaces you don't want to get paint on, as I did here with blue masking tape. I masked off the toilet paper holder and the casing around the window. But for the toilet itself, I usually just use a canvas drop cloth to protect the bowl and the floor. But for the toilet tank, I've come up with a really good solution. It's adhesive back food wrap. It's a relatively new product, and it works great for protecting the toilet tank from paint. Take one long piece and stick it on the top. It's got just enough adhesive that if you press it down, you see it holds pretty well. Then take another sheet, a nice long one, and wrap the back of the toilet so that when you paint the wall, you don't get paint all over the toilet tank. Rip it off, and again, you press it on. It sticks nice and tightly. Now, I'd probably put one more piece along the bottom. Now, when you paint, you can get your roller or your brush back there, and you won't get hardly any paint on the toilet tank as long as it's protected by this plastic. And then when the job's done, peel this off after the paint dries, because you don't want to mess up your fresh paint job. Then you only have to worry about cleaning the inside of the toilet, not the outside.
Hey, we're continuing our look to see how far $1,000 worth of materials will go in different areas of your home. And we're right in the middle of a living room here that looks pretty good. It didn't look so good a few weeks ago.
Well, unlike the bathroom that Danny showed you earlier, this room has no cabinetry or plumbing fixtures. We're mostly dealing with large surfaces, the ceiling, the walls, and the flooring. In a room this size, you're probably looking at about $150 worth of paint.
Of course, the next big surface is the floor, and certainly it looks a lot better than it did earlier because it had some very old carpet and some very stained pad underneath the carpet. All of that had to be removed. We had a lot of scraping we had to do on the concrete slab before this floor could be installed. Now, this show is all about bringing it in under $1,000 when you're renovating a room like this, and flooring can make a big difference on how close you get to that budget. And Alan's over at the Home Center right now checking out a few of the prices.
When you're looking for inexpensive flooring for a family room or living room, two types come to my mind immediately. The first, of course, is carpeting, and if you really shop around, you can get some pretty good deals. Here's a nice neutral tone, nice little short pile. It's a little less than $10 a square yard, but remember there's 9 square feet in a square yard, so that means the cost of this basically is a little over $1 a square foot. Not bad, but remember, installation of carpet really is not a do-it-yourself friendly type of project, so you're going to need to add in the cost of labor for that. When you do, you get a price that's comparable to the second type that I think of, and of course that's plastic laminate, and they look great, particularly in a family room or living room. Beautiful colors available. Cost, again, shop around about $2 a square foot. So, not bad on the price, but you do have some extra charges on laminates. You do have to add for your transition strips. These are kind of expensive, about $15 each. And of course, don't forget, you're going to need some quarter-round molding.
This material does make a good looking floor, doesn't it?
It sure does, Danny. The other advantage is that the flooring is a really easy do-it-yourself product. The panels just lock together. There's no glue or staples involved. But if you never installed the floating floor before, be sure to leave yourself a little bit of extra time because it may take longer.
It's very easy, but it does take a little while that first time. Now, the material cost for this room, $700, plus the paint for the walls, $150. We still have a little money left in our $1,000 budget, so we thought what would be perfect is a nice finishing touch over the front window. So this balance was very easy to put together. Even Alan can do it. Actually, he got a little help from a designer friend of ours, Diane Berry. She had Alan start by ripping some half-inch plywood down into 24-inch pieces. Then he connected the two together with metal mending plates in order to cover the 118-inch wide window. Next, they mapped out the arch Diane wanted and cut it out with a jigsaw. When Alan's carpentry work was done and the frame was inside, Diane began her magic. She used upholstery batting to wrap the valance frame and to soften the edges. The fabric is stapled along the back edge of the header and then folded back over to cover the valance before you lay it face down so you can finish attaching the fabric to the back side. The corners take a little more time and care. In this case, Diane also covered the back with plain white fabric so the neighbors couldn't tell it was homemade. Hot glue was used to secure a decorative fringe along the lower edge, and some L brackets were used to hold the valance in place on the wall. It's hard to believe Alan and Diane only spent $50 for the materials for the valance. That was a pretty good bargain. Now, I mentioned earlier there's no overhead light fixtures in this particular room that we've been working on, but that's an excellent way to upgrade the look of a room by simply changing out the light fixture.
Absolutely, Danny. Just have to remember, if you're going to take down a light fixture and put up a ceiling fan, you can't hang the fan from the existing box. It's not rated for the vibration and the weight of the fan, so you will have to replace it with a code-approved box that's specifically designed for ceiling fans.
Yeah, that's pretty important. You don't want the ceiling fan coming down. Now, let's total everything up here. We spent $50 for materials on the valance,
About $150 in room paint.
and $700 for the floor. That brings a total to $900. I have a feeling we'll find some place to spend that $100 that we saved in this room. Now, we were talking about ceiling fans earlier, so is Jody.
This is one of the most popular fixtures in homes today, the ceiling fan. In summer, they help keep us cool. In the winter, reverse their rotation and they help circulate the warm air. Yep, ceiling fans are great, except when you get that annoying wobble. There are several reasons why this may happen. It may not have been installed correctly, or sometimes the blades get bent or they warp while cleaning it. I've actually seen people tape nickels to the blades to try and stop the wobbling. Well, the folks at Hunter Fan have solved that problem once and for all. They've developed a new technology called Perfect Balance. Inside the motor is a shifting disc that automatically balances the fan blades with each rotation, which means that they will guarantee your fan won't wobble ever during the entire life of the fan. No one in the industry can make that kind of guarantee, but Hunter is confident in this new technology. So far, only 2 models have the Perfect Balance disc inside, but all of them will have it by year 2012. Just look for this logo on the package to make sure the one you're getting carries the no wobble guarantee.
This week we're doing some digging to see how far $1,000 will go in renovating different areas of your home. So far we've covered the bath and the family room, but one of the busiest rooms in the house and one of the most popular areas for renovation is, of course, the kitchen. This place is usually the hub for family activity, even if you eat more takeout food than you do home-cooked meals. It's also important because it has a big effect on a home's resale value. Most of the money you spend here will likely come back to you at resale, especially if you stick to a low budget like ours. Now, we've been starting with paint on all the different areas of the house, so there's no reason to stop now. For a kitchen, you'll want to pay particular attention to the type of paint you buy, because if ever you needed a paint that would stand up to scrubbing, this is the place. Now, some of the paint manufacturers make what they call kitchen and bath enamels. These paints tend to form a tougher outer shell, so they won't wear out as quickly with constant cleanup. For an average sized kitchen, you can expect all your painting supplies to set you back around $150 unless you plan to paint the cabinets. But we'll talk about that in just a minute. Right now, let's focus on the countertops. Now, one of the first questions I usually hear from homeowners is, can I afford granite? Well, when you're looking at a modest budget like ours, the answer is usually going to be no, but it might surprise you how affordable it is. In recent years, the cost of installed granite has come down significantly because of the new tools that have been developed to fabricate it into countertops. That means the process is much less labor intensive, saving the installer and the homeowner a lot of money. In some cases, you can find the more common type of varieties with very basic edge treatments for as low as $40 a square foot. At that price, you could cover a small kitchen island as an accent and stay well within your budget. But remember that things like cutouts for sinks and cooktops will add to the cost, so do your homework. Now, even if you only add granite to, say, an island, you still might use a good chunk of your budget, depending on its size. While counters represent a lot of the surface you see in a kitchen, the cabinets usually add up to even more. So making a change here can make a very big difference. Now, if you plan to do that with paint, you'll probably want to plan on spending about as much on supplies for the cabinets as you did for the walls. But like the wallpaper removal I talked about earlier, the real investment will be in your labor. Proper preparation of the cabinets just has to be done. You've got to remove all that dirt and grease completely so the new paint will stick. Now, even if you brush paint all of the boxes or the bodies of the cabinet, it's still a good idea to borrow or rent a sprayer for all the doors and the drawer fronts. If you like your wood cabinets, but you just want to update the look a little bit, think about changing the hardware. It's amazing what a difference a new set of handles or, say, a new set of pulls can make in your cabinet. Now, these things range anywhere from $2 to $20 a piece, depending on how plain or fancy they might be. So count how many doors and drawers you have so that you can add up the total cost to make sure it fits in your budget before you head down to the home center. And speaking of the home center, Alan and Jody are there right now looking at the cost of another kitchen upgrade.
You know, I like to start from the ground up, and since Danny was talking about tile earlier in the bathroom renovation, you know, you can definitely put tile in your kitchen as well. And Alan and I found some great tile pieces that we want to show you. This right here is my favorite.
I love that one.
It's travertine, and you know, when you seal it, and it gives it a good look when you wet it, you can see just the beauty that comes out. This is a 20 by 20 piece, and this averages about $2.50 a square foot. This one right here is ceramic tile, but it's made to look very similar to travertine. This is $1.50 a square foot, and this is just a standard piece of ceramic tile that's 88 cents a square foot.
And this is definitely my budget right here. Okay, so let's add everything up.
Okay.
Average size kitchen, let's say 150 square feet. We'll go with the medium range
No,
tile.
let's
We're
go with
gonna
this
go with
one.
the medium range tile. And let's see, the tile, all the material to put it down, we'll say about $340.
Okay.
All right. Add to that the paint. Let's say the paint the walls, and I know cabinets are an option. Let's go ahead and paint the cabinets too. $300 there.
Okay, so talking about the cabinets though, you need to also factor in your pulls.
Right.
Whether you've got new knobs or new pulls, they're gonna be about $4 a piece. So let's just say $100 there.
Okay, let's
Do
add it
math.
all up. So
Okay.
340, 300, 640, 740.
What?
Wow, $740. Okay, so there we are. Now, our budget, we got $1,000. That's $260 left to spend for granite. It won't happen.
No.
I know Danny mentioned, of course, just doing an island, but even something like this, we've got about 12 square feet here. Even if we're smaller, 10 square feet, you're still looking at pushing close to $480, $500. So
Right.
won't happen, but here's an idea. You save so much money on the other two rooms, pool the money together and get the granite.
Oh, because you won't regret it.
When tracking down ways to think green in your home, the trail should lead you straight to the bathroom. It should come as no surprise that toilets are the biggest water wasters in the house. There are more than 300 million toilets in the United States, and millions of them leak, each wasting up to 50 gallons every single day. Millions more have tanks with a 3 to 5 gallon capacity. If you want to start saving water, switch those old models out for the new 1.6 gallon toilets. In that one move, you'll be saving at least 50% on the water your toilet uses. Another idea is to replace your old toilet with a dual flush design that uses less than a gallon to flush liquid waste. If a new toilet isn't in the budget, there are kits now available on the market that will allow you to convert your existing toilet to a water saver. This week we've looked at putting $1,000 to work in 3 different areas of the home to see how much of a difference we could make. The changes you make could be as simple as a coat of paint or adding some new hardware to your cabinet doors. But maybe you're ambitious enough to take on a new floor for the bathroom, kitchen, or family room. Whatever the case, I hope we've helped. Every house is different.
And every homeowner has different tastes.
The purpose of this week's show isn't to necessarily spend $1,000
But to show you that even without an enormous budget, you can make a big difference.
if you plan carefully.
And you shop carefully.
And you're not afraid to get your hands dirty.
Hey, I'm Danny Lipford and the crew. We'll see you next week. We're not magicians, but next week we'll share some great tricks to improve your kitchen.